we're going to discuss the Purushottama Maas. Maas means month. There are many names to this Purushottama month, and there are purposes to it also. Another name is the Adhik Maas. So Adhik means additional, and Maas means month. When we compare the two different types of calendars, one that's based upon the moon and one that's based upon the sun, there's a shortage of time between the two, because the lunar calendar, having 12 months, it's 11 days shorter than the solar calendar each year. So the great astrologers and gyanis of the past, the Vedic scholars, they added an extra month every 32 months and 16 days. So that means you have 1 month, 1 year with the 12 months, and then another year with the 12 months, and then almost another year, and wherever that 32nd month is within those 3 years, 32 months and 16 days, an extra month is added from a pratipat up to an amavasya. So that means that the Adhik Maas, or the Purushottama Maas, is placed at in different months every 3 years. So this year, it's called the Shravan Adhik Maas, or Shravan Purushottama Maas, because it comes right in the middle of the Shravan Maas. 1 year, the Adhik Maas came right after Janmashtami, and we had a whole extra month before we were able to celebrate Radhashtami. So this is all the technical reasons why the Adhik Maas is included in the Vaishnav and the Vedic calendar. Now, the spiritual significance of the Adhik Maas comes from the very beginning of time. And that is when these 12 months were created, each month has a particular deity, feminine form, who takes shelter of a particular demigod. Now, the demigods, understanding that this month was extra and was not always present, no one wanted to take responsibility for this month. And therefore, according to the karma kandiyas, or those who are interested in getting karmic fruits of their activities, they called this month the Mala Maas. Mala means, it means stool, actually, that which is unclean or prohibited month. So this month, in personified form, was feeling very much condemned because no one would accept her as their protector amongst the demigods. So, being a devotee of the Lord, she went in a very devastated state to Sri Vishnu Janardhan. And sobbing at his feet, she explained to Janardhan that no one will accept me, no one will perform any auspicious activities during my month, everything is prohibited, so you please allow me to take shelter of you. So Sri Vishnu, understanding that the devastation that this month was feeling, he went with her to Goloka Vrindaban to ask Sri Krishna what the solution would be. When they enter Goloka Vrindavan with all of the kalpavriksha trees, Krishna being surrounded by the gopis, seated with Srimati Radharani on a beautiful throne, still, this Adhik Maas was in very devastated condition, and she, crying, fell at the feet of Sri Krishna and explained her distress. So Krishna, he was smiling. He said, "You've come to Goloka Vrindavan, a place where there's no distress. Of course I will give you all protection. In fact, I will consider you as my wife, and I will give you my very name, Purushottama. And any dharmic activities, any spiritual activities performed during this month will get unlimited benefits on the spiritual platform." So there's a class of people who are not willing to perform any type of tapasya or austerity unless they feel that they're going to get some result for it. Now, these people, and that's the majority of people in the world, they perform different types of dharmic religious activities during the month of Purushottam in order to get some material benefit. Perhaps they want a son, perhaps they want some wealth, perhaps they want to get elevated to the heavenly planets. And they're recommended austerities and different types of charities and tapasya to perform for what is called the gona results. Gona means secondary. So those who are looking just for material results, they are interested in performing austerities to get something as a result of those austerities. And particularly in two categories. That's bhakti, or sense gratification, and mukti, and that's liberation from the material entanglement, merging into Brahman. So those in the gona category, they are after bhakti and mukti. And they will perform many dharmic activities, giving elaborate charity, setting up different types of readings, and performing very severe austerities on the body because they want some result from this. And then there are the devotees who observe Purushottam month for the mukhya gun, and that is for the chief result. The chief result is to attain love for the Supreme Lord Purushottam Sri Krishna. Now, the same austerities might be performed, for instance, giving in charity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reading the Bhagavad-gita, chapter 15, reading specifically the 10th canto, chapter 14, the Brahma Stuti that Lord Brahma offers to Lord Krishna, worshipping Tulsi Devi, offering a ghee lamp every day, or if one's not wealthy enough for ghee, one can offer a sesame lamp, bathing in the holy rivers, residing in the holy dhams. All of these same austerities and tapasyas might be performed by the gona persons and the mukhya persons. But the goal is completely different. One is to get a material result, ultimately highest being liberation, and the other is to get pure devotion to the Supreme Lord. Because it is for this reason that Sri Krishna Purushottam established this month as supreme above all the other months, even above Kartik, above Chaitra, above all the months where one can perform different austerities and charities to get some result. So this month of Purushottam, which comes approximately every 3 years, the devotees are very enthusiastic to engage in all types of spiritual activities for the pleasure of the Lord. Now, there is a warning that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad-gita in chapter 17, verses 1 through 20. He explains to Arjuna there that there are 3 different types of people, those in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And according to the modes in which they accept, that they associate with, they eat differently, they give charity differently, and they perform different types of sacrifices or penances. Now, so far as eating is concerned, and also different types of worship. For eating, we know that mode of goodness, and for the devotees, we only take Krishna Prasadam offered to the Supreme Lord. Those in the mode of passion, they will eat things that increase the mode of passion. And those in the mode of goodness, ignorance, will eat those things that drag one down into the mode of ignorance. When it comes to sacrifice, penance, and austerity, and also worship, there are also 3 different categories. So the devotees, they perform sacrifice purely for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Those in the mode of passion, they will perform sacrifice and charity and penance in order to get some result out of greed. I know that if I give this much, I'm going to get this much in return. And those in the mode of ignorance, they will do it without any consideration of the recommendations in the scriptures. They will give to unworthy people. They will give unclean things. So the devotees, they have to be very concerned about the type of austerities that they choose to perform during Purushottama Maas. Krishna warns that those in the mode of ignorance, they perform severe austerities that actually torture the soul within the body. Therefore, when we're accepting particular vows for this month, we have to be very careful to remain in the mode of pure goodness. And that means not to torture our bodies, not to torture our minds, and not to torture the soul living within our bodies. We have to see what is practical. The topmost service that one can perform in this month is to give in charity scriptural books such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gita for the benefit of less fortunate people. Over and above that, we can reduce our sense gratificatory eating. Of course, only eat Krishna prasadam. We can choose to eat once or twice a day. And particularly, because there are 12 months, both in solar and lunar calendar, there are 2 Ekadasis in every month. That makes 24 Ekadasis in a year. But in this Purushottama month, there are 2 additional Ekadasis. One is called Padmini Ekadasi, and that's in the waxing moon, just before the Purnima. Now, when one observes full fast, if one's able to do it, then one is guaranteed to the planet of Padmanabha Sri Purushottama Krishna. The second Ekadasi is called Parama Ekadasi, and that comes just 5 days before the last Amavasya. Now, by observing this Ekadasi, you get the topmost perfection, which means returning to Goloka Vrindaban. And then after that, there's a recommendation that Krishna gives to Yudhisthira Maharaj. There's something called Pancharatriki. That means 5 nights. So from the day of Ekadasi up to the last Amavasya of the Purushottama month, one can observe especially satisfying tapasya and charity and meditation to please the Supreme Lord, not to torture oneself. We always have to think in terms of what is going to please our spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. And for those 5 days, we can devotedly give more time to our spiritual activities, to our japa, to our worship. The topmost worship in this month is the worship of Radha and Krishna, specifically with Tulsi, the worship of Tulsi, the giving in charity for cows, to feed the cows, and any type of spiritual recommendations that are performed during the rest of the year, but specifically for the pleasure of Shri Radha and Krishna. So we can take advantage of this month, beginning July 18th and ending August 16th, coming up just in about 1 month, by increasing our devotional service without torturing ourselves, and everything being done for the pleasure of Shri Radha and Krishna and our spiritual masters. Hare Krishna.